Two-step inequalities paper slide video. Question 1. Write it out. 7 plus 5m is less than or equal to 15 minus 3m. Now you have to solve it. You write the problem again and then you notice the sign. When you plot the answer, which we will do later, you'll have to notice it because it determines your answer. Anyways, now you have to do the math. You try to keep things positive because it's easier. You can start the problems 4 different ways: 5m, 7, 15, or 3m. I'm going to start with the constant. Constant is a number without a variable. Like I said, I'm trying to keep things positive, so I'm going to start with the 7. Since it's positive, you need to do the inverse. Inverse means the opposite. For example, the inverse of negative 5 is positive 5. So I subtract the negative 7 from the positive 7. If you do something to one side of the inequality, you have to do it to the other. Since you can't subtract the constant from a coefficient, which is a number without a variable, you have to subtract it from the other constant, 15. Since the second and negative 7 cancel out, all you have left on the left side is positive 5m. So you bring that down to the next line. 15 minus 7 is 8, so the 8 goes down to the next line too. You also bring down the negative 3m. So now you have a second row of work, which says 5m is less than or equal to 8 minus 3m. Now you have to do the inverse of negative 3m. You have to add the 3m to the 5m. When you add it, it becomes 8m. Remember, the inverse cancels out the original number. Now you have the third line. Now you need to figure out how to get the variable away from its coefficient. Some people might already know the answer, but we're going to work it out. To get the 8 away from the m, you have to see what's going on between them. When the 8 is squished next to the variable, you know it's multiplication. Now we need to do the inverse again. This time, though, we are doing the inverse operation. For example, adding's inverse operation is subtracting. If we know that the 8m equals multiplication, then we can do division, which is its inverse. We divide by the 8 because the only way to cancel out in division is simplifying it to one whole. We still cross it out though. What you do to one side, you do to the other. So you divide both sides by 8. 8 divided by 8 equals 1. So you bring it down to the fourth line. You bring down the variable sign and the 1. You arrange it into an order that makes sense, and it reads m is less than or equal to 1. Now you can check to see if your answer makes sense. You plug the 1 in for the math for the m and reread the first line. It should make sense. 7 plus 5 times 1 is less than or equal to 15 minus 3 times 1. Using PEMDAS, you can see it makes sense to have m equals 1. Now you have to plot it. So you find the number on the number line, and then you also find your answer on it. Once you find the answer, you mark it by putting a circle around it. If you see the greater than or less than sign with the line under it, you shade the circle in it, and vice versa. Then you look at whichever way the arrow goes and shade that way. Question 2. This problem says 3 plus 5m is greater than or equal to negative 8 plus 3m. Now you cancel out the negative 8 to keep things positive. You add it to the 3 on the left side, and since they are both positive, you combine them into 11. You bring down the positive 5 sign, you bring down the positive 5, the sign, and the 3m to the second row, and then you have to cancel out the 5. If you did the 3, it would make sense. There is nothing left on the right. You have to do the 5. 3 minus 5 equals negative 2. Now you have the third line. 11 is greater than or less than negative 2m. Once again, you have to divide the negative 2m by the positive 2m. Also, if you divide or multiply a positive number by a negative, the sign becomes switched. Now it should read less than or equal to. Anyways, now you have to divide the 11 by 2. You should know that 11 is prime, so there are no factors that equal 11 but 1 and itself. Factors are numbers you multiply together to get other numbers. So if you look over here, I have the division set up. You know that negative 2 goes into 11 5 times without going over. So then I put it up top and subtract the 11 by 10. You get 1 left over. 1 doesn't go into 2, so you put a decimal up top and bring down a 0. The 1 turns into a 10. And you can divide 2 by that, so you get negative 5.5. Then you add another line with the variable sign and the answer, negative 5.5, like I had put it here. Like I had put it here, you may think that it's the wrong equation, but because that you can't have the 2 there, but it's not, because you don't add the 1. All you do is put a decimal up at the top. The right equation is right there. Now on to plotting. You plot your points on a number line like the one shown here. Since the less than sign has a line under it, you shade in the circle, and then you shade in the number to the left because we multiplied it by a negative. Use a ruler to make a straight number line. You can also box long numbers to make them look neater. Thanks for watching. I hope you learned something about two-step inequalities. Bye!